that the chicken leg is always for the father, for the brother, and I realized that's what Amma does.
The ratio, it will usually be 1 woman and 20 men. Early in my career, there was a boss who used to harass every girl in the office. It could have been like pulling her in, it could have been touching her, back.
A person needs to know their boundaries. It's very important. आप जैसे portray करोगे, they would know. अच्छा, we need to shut up. ये तो सुना देगी सामने.
Firm. I was asked, when are you going to get married? What are your plans? Will you work after you get married?
I wouldn't say that women should stop bouncing back to their career because of that particular reason. That
it's not that oh Masi aayi so I am responsible to open darwaza. No, he will too. And it's inbuilt in him as well. So thanks to my mother-in-law. So
she said she was questioned, like, why do you want to be paid the same as your colleague who's doing exactly the same job? Because you don't have to support a family.
Funny thing, so whenever I go for a meeting and if there is a male, I have a habit of, hi, this is Medea. And he's like, oh, Assalamualaikum. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Every year, when we just wish each other Happy Women's Day, I sometimes feel that has anything changed actually? Have we changed it? Because yes, all of us, in our own professions, in our own ways, we have excelled. Maybe sometimes I feel something has changed, but that major thing hasn't changed. Like I talk about myself. I've been associated with media in various, I started off as RJ. That was fine. I remember my parents, although they were from radio, my mother still, despite the fact that she was from radio, she did a whole, I remember this series of Girl Child. There was a celebration when I was a kid and I used to ask her, what is this Girl Child, materials that you're getting? And that was the International Girls Child Day. They were celebrating. And then despite the fact that she was the one who was leading this in her capacity on Radio Pakistan, she says, "Ladkiyan kya kar rahi hain radio ke andar?" I was like, "Huh? So music bajaogi as RJ?" I said, "So shaadi nahi hogi?" I was like, "Oh my God!" And I was only 16 at that time, and I used to hate this kind of thing. Then I had my dadi saying it, "Khana nahi pakaogi, ye sab bachon ka kaam kar ladkiyon ka kaam karna aana chahiye." But then somehow I just landed in radio. And it wasn't something that I wanted to. It just happened. And then TV just happened. And then, then I wanted to do journalism and it just happened. So, but yes, in my profession I have to fight a lot of odds. I have.
But you're saying it happened. I don't think things just happen, Nadia. I think the fact that your father, your mother were in radio, that you grew up in a home that was probably steeped in these conversations, right? I think at some level, this is similar with me. I was an agency brat. My father set up this agency. And although I had a brother as well, it was almost as though it was sort of preconditioned that I would be running the agency. And now, fast forward, here I am, so many years into that. But things have changed. I've walked into boardrooms and back in the years, and I think I'm older than all of you, and I was the only woman, and definitely the only woman in a leadership role. और अब मैं जाती हूँ client की side भी, there are lots of women on my side also there. So it's wonderful to see. But yes, you do have to push and fight and take on those challenges every day.
Ruba, one thing I want to really change about. Every time I meet people, and it's such a basic thing, I don't know whether you ever witnessed this or not, is that, jab bhi khana hota hai, so my mother or anybody in the family will say, bhai ke liye nikal ke rakh dena. It's like, yeah, what the hell, why do I have to always do that?
Kyun nikal ke rakh?
And this is what I learned in very early years in my journalism. There was a conference on Women's Day, and I remember Nigat saying this. She used to run an NGO. And she said, why are these rural women always taught that the chicken leg is always for the father, for the brother? And I realized that's what Amma does. And I went home and I said, you're gender biased.
Yeah.
And you don't think anymore. And she got so angry. She said, I'm not, I love you equally. I said, no, you're gender biased. You always say, keep this leg for your brother. And he loves legs. I said, I also love it. You never say you have it. So yeah,
the equal amount of legs, but it has to be shared.
Exactly, but I have learned a lot of these things, like starting from here, what gender equality is, right up to how you fight in your careers to get yourself right in their faces. That no matter this is a patriarchal mindset, but here I am, I'm far better than you are. I don't know how you face it.
I basically, as a career journey, when I talk about, I took a long break to settle down the family, to settle down my child. And when I came back, I did see the change happening. When back in the day when I started my career, I wouldn't see so many girls on the same floor. But when I came back 2 years ago, I could see the difference happening. It was not just the regulator imposing that it has to be equality we are talking about, but I saw the difference in the mindsets too at some point in time, I would say. But yes, as much as I want to see, it's still missing out in the situation I would want.
So why do you think women are hired in banks? Are they because they are more organized, they work better?
Yes,
or is
definitely.
it that, when customers walk in, there should be some pretty face also?
That was also a thing back in the day, but I don't think anymore. See, we would call such individuals customer representatives or CSMs or RSMs or stuff like that, But not anymore. I do see a few men around in the same role too. I do get a shock that, I'm behind my mind, I'm expecting to see a girl out there, but that's also not happening anymore. But yes, I feel they are more welcoming while you're hiring a girl as a front floor manager or something like that. They're more welcoming, they're more accommodating in that regard. Or maybe, if somebody is a lady is walking in the branch, she's more comfortable to be talking to a girl in that setup.
I think half your customers are women, right?
Yeah, especially who are walking in the branches. Otherwise, men are mostly, operating through the digital mediums. So, I see a lot of women entering just to pay a utility bill. That's also a thing. I don't think any of us here we are not paying the bills anymore, but the ladies of the family do require the stamp on that piece of paper. So I think the comfort zone, having a woman in that zone is important, and I would want more girls to be stepping in, leaving their comfort zone, talking to people, talking to customers. Why not?
So Ramada, you fighting for our rights?
Well, I'm primarily a corporate commercial lawyer, and I beg to differ that I don't think things, I've been doing this for over a decade. I don't think things have changed that much. Society has not changed that much. The change has to be from within us, because I still have instances of girls who come into the office, and women we should call them actually, and they will sit at the back of the conference room, and you have to tell them that no, you need to come and sit at the table. And even now, I'm at the level where I'm negotiating contracts with government or on behalf of government or, with international corporations. The ratio, it will usually be 1 woman and 20 men. So that dynamic hasn't changed too much in my sector, in my industry. Though people like to think that, in corporates it is different. But there are certain industries, and I think law is still a male-centric dominated, area. And it takes a whole career to build that resilience as a woman to be able to say, I need this to succeed. My first interview at a law firm, I was asked, when are you going to get married? What are your plans? Will you work after you get married? And yes, they shouldn't be asking those questions, but we need to ask, why are they asking those questions? Because women leave. Why do they leave? Because they don't have family support, or the institutions have not built in those features which are needed to keep women pushing to the top. Right. We don't have daycares in a lot of institutions.
Flexible working hours.
We don't have flexi hours. We don't have, some organizations don't have proper maternity leave. Some organizations, paternity leave is laughed at, right? Yeah. If you bring it up in most organizations. So there's a lot of work still to be done in my experience.
You're absolutely right. This maternity leave, I think, is a major issue. Although I do remember the parliamentarians fighting for it, and it's there. But I don't think so. Institutions do give that sort of leave, and even the nurseries that are supposed to be in-house institute, I haven't seen it. I don't know how long.
So in our industry, Seema, what support me here? I think it's a female-driven industry now, because you see agencies. In my agency is led by a female, so we don't face those kind of challenges, because she herself has taught me so much that how do you stand up for yourself and the challenges you face, and now even I have a team. So I am leading a team and I'm the head of media at my agency. And now I need to make sure that the female is not, so I have a female and 2 males. So I need to make sure that, she is getting whatever she requires. In fact, our agency has a daycare as well. So I think people are stepping up. Now dynamics are changing in the industry. So I feel that people are welcoming now. Even initially when I entered the industry, it was not easy for me as well, because my father is a banker, my mom is a homemaker, she's at home. So, and my brother was studying at that time. So when I told them that, I want to join, so I started as a video host. So I would come in front of the video, and at that time, we only would see VJs like Anushe and Dino over there and Ali Safina, and I would be like, I want to be like them. I want to be that way. But I didn't start from TV, but I started from as a digital host, and it was not easy. But thank God, thankfully, I had support of my dad. Not my mom initially, but later she supported me, and she was like, "Acha, theek hai, chalo, you karna hai to phir." But my dad supported, and it was, see, as Seema said, things don't happen. You have to make it happen, but you need support.
Yeah, I think you need your allies.
Have you realized it's always the dad supporting?
Yeah.
And moms don't. I don't know why.
No, because
they're from
my mom is
I'll tell you something. I think उनको वो होता है कि
Pressure.
लोग क्या सोचेंगे?
हाँ.
And we have a community, right?
Yeah.
So, अच्छा लड़की मीडिया में है, शादी कैसे होगी? लड़का कौन मिलेगा? कैसे मिलेगा? Family supportive होगी? So
acceptance
yeah,
will be
yeah.
there.
I think that's
So
when
I
I
feel
wanted to
that-
go to university abroad, and I was the first girl who wanted to go abroad to study. It was my dadi who actually supported.
Oh, wow.
Here was this
Wow.
woman who, and I went, and it was, I thank her because, whatever else happened, but I went to a women's college. It changed my life, it changed my thinking, it changed the way I look at the world. So, there was a strong woman there as well. But yes, you're right.
I think-
I could relate with you more.
I think we were talking about harassment, and I don't know any woman who hasn't been harassed in her life. But when it happens at the workplace, it's a whole other dynamic because you're there for a purpose. And the issue is, I think we don't teach our daughters what to do when it happens. I at a very early in my career, there was a boss who used to harass every girl in the office. It could have been like pulling her in, it could have been touching her, back. And I didn't know how to react. I laughed it off, or I didn't say anything. And we don't teach girls to speak up. We don't teach people to say no, or how to handle the situation. It becomes very challenging. Thankfully now we have, laws for protection of women in the workplace, but organizations that need to implement those, and also just giving girls a voice, women a voice of
Setting
to speak
boundaries,
up.
basically. If some instances like that are happening at workplace, how to exactly react? Because instant reaction for me would also be, I would just froze. Basically,
We're taught
I
to be
wouldn't
nice.
know.
actually.
Yeah.
We're taught to be nice
all the time. Yeah.
and that's our
The good
handicap.
girl, yeah. Be the good girl.
Maybe one of the reasons why we were not taught probably, and why we did raise sort of our voices, because then you tend to think, what if I'm not allowed to, continue with whatever I'm doing? If I go home and I tell them that this is what happened.
Definitely.
My
Then I
basic
won't
rights
be
will
allowed
be taken
to,
away to
step
step out.
Yeah. Maybe that was the reason. But I'm sure now at least we have learned out.
Yes.
But initially I didn't. Initially I cried. When it first happened, this was when I was at CNBC and I was a very young journalist at that time, returned from Pakistan. And I just completed my show live on TV, and that was it. And suddenly the guest who had come on TV, and he still exists, by the way, and he's still on TV.
They all do.
He called me and he said, this is how exactly he said. हाँ क्या कर रहे हो? 8 बजे कसरे नवाज आ जाना.
Which is a guest house.
Yeah, which is against a state
Oh.
guest house. Yeah. I was like, what does he think? And I was crying, and he just banged the phone, and I started crying, thinking, what exactly did I do wrong for him to even think that I'm
understand that
Blame
you're
yourself.
easy to get.
You blame yourself.
I blame myself. But luckily, I had a very good boss, a very good editor. He saw me crying. He said, what happened? I said, nothing. He said, no, you have to speak up, tell me what happened. And I told him. He said, wait a second. He put the speaker on of the landline, he dialed his number, and he told me, "You're going to say that whatever you said is recorded and you're playing it in the 9 o'clock bulletin." I said, I can't. I was crying. I said, no, I don't want to. He said, "You do it right now." And I did it. I felt so happy. And you know what? He said, no. I was saying, bring in your team. Let's have dinner. But then, just by saying that first sentence that whatever you said about taking it up, which is bulletin way, then I felt such a tigress that I said, "Ab pata chala, kya samajh rakha hai?" And then I knew. But what good I did was that when I went back home, I told my mother, this is one thing she taught me. You never come back like this. You make sure you give it back to the person. And never shy away and never cry in front of people. She taught me this. She said, "I don't want my daughter crying, no matter whatever has happened. You've got to give it back.
That's exactly what my mother has done too.
And so I became so strong that, now I knew, even a person wants to harass me, they go, "Oh, I can't."
It's very important how you portray yourself.
Exactly.
A person needs to know their boundaries. It's very important. आप जैसे portray करोगे, they would know, अच्छा, we need to shut up, ये तो सुना देगी सामने.
Yeah, you need to set a tone.
I think it's very important.
You know what you said? We always want to be nice. This is exactly how I thought I would be, but I was then taught it's good people will call me stubborn.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Or a bitch, or a aggressive, or whatever.
See, yes, I am very stubborn.
Yeah, we are.
Not changing anytime soon. Yeah, that's how it should be.
But they can. I mean, look at the harassment even now, how vulnerable politicians. Sobia Shahid, what happened to her as an MPA. Journalists, I've worked with journalists who I know had to quit because the trolling was so bad that it took them, took its toll on them, So, women journalists, तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, अभी भी बहुत ज़्यादा, the harassment.
You spoke about Sobia Shahid. There was some women who belong to the industry who were saying, well, she invited it, and I was like, hello? What does this mean? So this hasn't changed.
That doesn't change.
Hence, the reporting doesn't happen. Harassment is taking place left, right, and center, but reporting doesn't happen because you're bound to question your own self because it's not channeled through the right ways.
So gender gap. I don't know how. I think this is one thing that I want to know what happens in banks. In terms of your remuneration, is there a gender gap?
It is there definitely, but yes, things are changing too. As I told you that I was on a returnship myself. I took a longest career break, and I was hired on the same pay scale which I left with 7-8 years ago. Which I was questioning my own worth, that why am I stepping out, leaving my child behind for so many hours? So much would be expected out of me being at workplace, and is it even worth it? But what changed was that I was giving assignments, tasks to fulfill, meet that in that set of timeline, and then talk about the race, then talk about how your path should be. So yeah, things in that regard changed as well. That they expected out of me to perform, to show results, and then we lead your path of the gap that was there. So yeah, it's there. It has to be worked into, definitely. But I wouldn't say that women should stop bouncing back to their career because of that particular reason, that they won't be paid exactly how they are in the different setup. So yeah, one has to leave the comfort zone, definitely.
Is that a factor? So when you step out to take care of kids and have a family, when you come back, there's always a big gap,
of course it is, because I moved countries too when I took breaks, so it was difficult for me to understand the setup, that what exactly is happening back in Pakistan. I was clueless too. So yeah, definitely that did result in some goods, some bads.
I think it has to be equal. For the effort, equal opportunity, and as a female boss, I make sure. But in my industry too, I remember speaking to somebody in a multinational agency, a woman, senior woman. This is about 3 years ago, and she said she was questioned, like, why do you want to be paid the same as your colleague who's doing exactly the same job? Because you don't have to support a family, and he does. You have a husband. And it was like, you were gobsmacked, even this comments, but it does happen, and it is there.
I'm sure it does in ways. I mean, as far as television is concerned, I think the problem that we have, I really don't know. I think now they do match, but I still feel no. Had they hired some male person over here, they would have, given more. Because it's not structured. Television is still not structured. It's just like, I like you, so I'll pay you this. You're better, I'll pay you this. I'm taking you from this institution, and to bring you here. So, okay, fine, I'll pay you this. So it has to be structured, only then one can say. But what we're still lacking in print and in television is that at the editor level, how many organizations have female editors? You see, I mean,
look at the hours that editors need to put in, right? And women don't have that support, that they get.
No, but I also feel that the organizations still feel that editor level female. I still feel that it still exists. You have to break this back.
Yeah, you have to.
I mean, at some televisions, I have seen, like even at ours, we have the digital section being headed by a female, Urdu as well as English. But I want to see a newspaper editor.
I thought editing on the, sorry, as an editor. The news editor.
Yes, newspaper editor.
I agree.
And direct the news of a TV channel. Led by a female. I mean, I want to see that at least in my lifetime.
But Razia Bhatti thi na.
उसके बाद क्या हुआ? I haven't seen that because even now, whenever some female walks in a newsroom to be a reporter, the first thing that the reporter is given, the different beats that you are given is education and social issues, health, women issues. Okay, so crime, so politics, ये सब नहीं है. Good that we broke those barriers of conducting the current affairs shows. But I remember when I started off with political shows from social issues, very well known journalists, not even belonging from my organization at that time, had said, ये बिल्कुल सही नहीं कर रही है. She should do वही सड़क और गटर के issues करो, ज़्यादा अच्छा है. तुम सियासत नहीं कर सकती. ठीक है? Here I am and I'm still there. But I was just thinking, why? So they're jealous, I think. They feel insecure.
I think
so. When they reach that position, they make sure that women do not climb to that position.
Do you feel हमें जताना पड़ता है?
हाँ.
Yeah.
कि हमारे में भी brain है.
We can also do this, or we're also doing the same thing.
How many economic journalists have you seen on television channels or on digital platforms?
None actually. None. Yeah.
Or even analysts.
एका दुक्का शायद, maybe एक देखा होगा शायद कभी, मतलब none, close to none, zero.
And we're talking about in this day where it is spinning milty. Okay, here's one.
So the legal analyst to
economic
analyst. Do you feel women run like I wouldn't say run is not the right word कि वो लोग चले जाते हैं? Because ऐसा नहीं है, we don't have it. We have educated women.
We don't have women at the top because
maybe they're not opportunities. Not opportunities, right?
Are needed to
proper channel media, proper platform नहीं मिला जिसकी वजह से they're unable to do what
maybe they want the right guide. Because कोई leadership में ही नहीं है उनको.
No, and how about seeing it like this that the male counterparts think a female will be. Does she know Iguana? I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe शौकिया कर रही है. एक तो that's also a thing. कि शौकिया कर रही है, कब तक कर लेगी?
Yeah, you're not taken seriously. They don't think that we have that talent in us.
Ability
to speak. Otherwise, let's walk in. In any institution. For business studies, you'll see so many females over there. So where do they go?
I think in the legal profession, it's quite opposite. There's a perception that women are more intelligent, more hardworking, more organized. But that also is a flip because they're a bit more docile. And they get exploited that way because they will not ask for the raise. They will not ask for
women don't
mentorship.
Ask. They don't ask for the question.
Because I not at my organization, but previously and usse pehle when I was working, I used to figure out that boys would come and they would tell कि because like how you guys said कि वो family run करना है, बच्चे की पढ़ाई के लिए, बच्चा बीमार हो गया, like we need money. I think we don't go and tell like I would never. I mean, I don't think so. I would ever go and be like अच्छा यार salary बढ़ाओ, ठीक है, problems and
I feel so too.
Like I know people who are working at XYZ places and ABC places, and they are working because it's the need for them, and still their organization people feel के नहीं ये तो शौकिया काम कर रही है और उसके पास तो खुद की गाड़ी है तो खुद से मतलब ये क्या अपनी फैमिली को रन करती है. But I know she's paying bills. I know she's like supporting her parents. But her father is also retired. Like she's supporting her father as well.
Supporting her own self. Why is it required?
Why is it? Yeah, like उसके
so
पास तो
much
husband
why
है.
should there be a justification to
Why? It should matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It should matter.
Exactly.
Exactly. On holiday, it doesn't matter.
That's a good
I
point.
agree to that.
Why do we have to justify?
But I think what you're saying कि women don't celebrate their own achievements or don't put their achievements out there.
We don't believe in our own
Yes,
cause.
yes.
Because-
We dim our own achievements, our own successes, and we need to do
Keep
that.
questioning as well. अगर achievement
We
होगी
need to
तो
go
we
out
keep
there.
questioning ourselves.
Yeah.
ये क्या चीज को पार्ट करके ये चीज
Well,
हो
you
रहा है?
imposter
You
syndrome.
know?
Am I
Yeah,
really
imposter
that
syndrome,
good
yeah.
enough? Am I good enough to be the economic sort of analyst or the legal analyst? So I think ये चीज है that
What she said about not having, so there's a role of mentorship in this, and in a lot of industries there are not enough female mentors who we can approach, who can go up to and look up to. When I started my career, there were some mid-level women, but there was no one really at the top. There was no female partner in the law firm at that time. That's changed. There are lots of firms which are all female partner-led firms, but there's just not enough people who are saying, we are not reaching out to the women in our own industries enough. We have to tell them, you need to come and discuss with me. You need to take people under your wing. And we need to be very proactive. I agree that we should have male allies, but the onus is actually on us. I feel like it'll be more
agree,
effective if we rely on ourselves to network, to teach women how to network, to how to sit at the table, how to introduce yourself when you go into a meeting. This is such a small
Basic
example.
things, yeah.
You will go into a meeting and there will be other men, but no one will stop, and either the woman would not introduce herself or the male colleague who's the senior will not introduce her. And these simple things are what's going to make a difference on a daily basis.
It's a very funny thing. So whenever I go for a meeting, and if there is a male, I have a habit of, hi, this is Madiha. And he's like, oh, assalamualaikum. And I'm like, oh, okay.
With that, I feel like you need to read the room, read the person.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do it all the time if that's just what you do.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to just figure out, okay, in this situation.
No, I think still it's a taboo कि अच्छा एक लड़की आएगी और वो इस तरह से हाथ मिलाएगी. Like, I feel, I have witnessed it around, like surrounding maybe.
very fast. Very fast.
I'm just like, okay, no hi, no slam.
But yes, what you said initially, things have changed.
Yeah.
And I would say, you said that we should take, pride in ourselves and we should be confident. I think at least I have done a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel very proud of myself.
Same, yeah.
I have broken a lot of barriers. I have given those insecure men, nothing but to think about me, that why she is still there. 10 years I remember I worked for an organization and I had this, male counterpart, and I would love that, was it just me or probably even you had faced. And you know what he did? He made sure that I just couldn't function in this organization and I should resign. And I should make sure that I should cry and say that, oh my God, I can't function. But I didn't say a word, I didn't even complain. He would do things like, if for example, I'm conducting a show and I need a camera for Lahore, for Islamabad, and this DSNG, the brand that records the gas, he'd say it's not available. So in 10 years, in that organization, I never got the DSNG. Can you beat it?
10 years.
10 years.
Wow.
Not a single time. He would say, and when there was available, just at the last moment, he'd say, it's not functional. Oh, and I wouldn't say, why is it in my time?
I was going to ask, what was your reaction?
Nothing. I said, oh, no problem. Because I made sure I'm not going to satisfy you. You're going to come and stoop to that level that ultimately you'll have to terminate me. Get me terminated.
I'm not walking out. Good for you. Good for you.
Then sometimes my lights won't be there. And would you believe it that a studio has these energy savers? No, there are special lights. And my light was all messed up. And now she will go. My audio was messed up. Then my show timing was messed up. How? And I used to do a live show at 7 in the evening. It would not start on time. My guests are waiting. One is in Islamabad, one is in some other bureau, one is sitting with me. It wouldn't start. Why? Because that gentleman used to be recording his show, in advance, and would not leave the studio deliberately, or I don't know. But it was. I mean, how can you not let a live show happen? And it would start 15 minutes late. So next time, those guests wouldn't take me seriously.
So is there any penalizing happening if the live show is not going on?
No, nothing. When I went to the to the chairman of the company and said, this has been happening.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
my guests,
and
it wasn't about me. My guests are waiting. So in front of my guests, I'm being embarrassed that this girl's show is not starting. So nothing was done.
There's always those people who will try to sabotage you.
Yes, exactly.
Who see you as a competition in every organization.
So finally, the day came when I was told, your show, and then the frequency of the show was also cut down. From 5, it came to 4, then it came to 3, and I couldn't leave, and
That's 10 years of surviving.
Yeah, and I was just thinking that this guy must be going home thinking, what the hell, what should I do now? I said, I want him walking right in front of me, looking into my eyes and saying that, you know what, girl, you get all these guests and I want it in my show. So how about you not doing the show? And this is my basic problem. Then one fine day there was a meeting, and then he said that, everybody is saying that all sorts of shows are the same, so why don't you just do outdoor shows? I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Fire me.
Good for you.
I said, I'm going to fire me. Yeah. So that was also, not taken in a healthy manner. Then one fine day, I was told that, your show is no more going to take place. And so we are going to lay all of you off. So I said, no problems. So, and he didn't say it. He didn't have, the guts to say it. No, he had the authority, but no others. The chairman of the company said. I said, no problem. I just need to know when am I going to be paid my dues. That's all I need to know. Are you not worried that, what are you going to do? And the chairman was very nice, no doubt about it. I mean, she was very good. She was very, she was like that, we could only fight at this because, in organizations when there is a certain director you hire and then they tell you that, these are the numbers and this is how I'm going to generate revenue. But if you're not going to let me function in my own capacity and you're going to tell me that, no, don't lay this person off, then I can't give you those numbers and I can't produce. So I said, no, it's not your fault. It's all right. I know these insecure men, it's okay. So then what I did, then I played my time. I said, I just need my dues and you don't have to worry about my job, I'll get it. What I did was I went up to his team, I said, if I see this man walking in right now, because it was his show time, I said, I'll break his legs, go tell him this. Then I got टांगे भी तोड़ दूँगी, उसका मुँह भी फाड़ दूँगी, उसे कहना आना नहीं यहाँ पर. He didn't come. He didn't walk up to the studio. So this time it was half past the hour that he was to be on air. His guests are waiting. Then after 30 minutes I said, tell him now he can do his show. I know it. And I felt so happy. And then I was serving my notice period and I made sure that he didn't function from Karachi. I said, tell him he has to function out of Islamabad, not till I'm here. And he had to function from Islamabad. He didn't come to Karachi till I was there. I'm very happy. He bumped into me twice. One of the, there was some gathering.
Bumping, yeah.
But he was just looking down and walking away. And I was like, good. He ran away. I still exist.
I don't see why sometimes there's so much an antagonistic relationship where there's space for everybody to grow, and people don't understand that. It's very sad, actually.
Very sad.
Yeah, but it is. Listen, talking about mentoring, do any of you mentor? Or have you had that experience?
Only 2 interns we've had.
Okay.
Yeah. In my limited capacity, to my team at least. Yeah. I tried
to
to
people.
Well, I try to be accessible to any woman who reaches out to me. Luckily, there are a few organizations in the legal profession. Like there's a women in law organization that's from Lahore, and it's countrywide. There's a Karachi women in law, and these are great avenues for networking, meeting other women. I think that's also something that women don't do as much as men. We don't network. We don't know. I mean, like if you're in a business development position, it's really hard to reach out to people and to say to a man, let's meet for coffee, right? Because it might be taken the wrong way, and that happens so frequently.
No, not only that, in our industry, it's all about, it's not only what happens in the office. It's a lot of it is the lunching and the dinner and the building the relationships and the schmoozing, and it's a boys' club.
It's a
right?
boys' club.
Yeah,
It's a boys'
and
इनकी
the
Victoria smoke breaks पे भी हो जाती है.
and even the women
से
groups,
ज़्यादा.
women groups are like, okay, can we meet for lunch? Oh, I have that kid, I have to do that run, I have to do that, oh, I have to get home in time, so there's a lot of that. And it's only now, I think, when my kids are older and all, it's fine.
You owe that to the society, you owe that to your organization as well. So I train the staff as well, I'm a trainer as well. So people, it's easier for them to reach out to me, they see me in that space. So a lot of girls I see coming in who are the new inductees as well, they come to me, they expect something out of me. Yeah, I am. In that regard, try my best level best that what I owe to the organization
and how
to society or
I
the
think
community.
society and the community, I agree. So I myself belong from a community, so we have a circle, and of course a lot of people will accessible. We have Jamaat where we go and meet people and all. So there are a lot of young girls, Gen Z I would say, would be like, because in media, she's hanging out with celebrities, celebrities know her, influencers know her, she's working with them and all. So they come and they'll be like, I know few people who would come and be like, can you help us becoming, we want to become an influencer, but mom's not okay. We want to become an actress, but mom's not okay. So I go and I talk to their moms, and now my mom also goes and tell their mom, nahi, kuch nahi hai. So you have to change the mindset of people. I feel ki because log suppressed ho rahe is wajah se, especially women. Because they're not getting what they want to do. So that way I would say mentoring,
तो छुप के कर रहे हैं और
वो गलत हो रहा है. Exactly. In my industry, it's like अगर आपको actress बनना है, like I am also in PR, but सारा आप देखा हुआ है because I've been a part of in this industry since a long time. So actress बनना है तो TV पे आना है, आप छुप के नहीं कर सकते, तो उससे छुप के नहीं हो सकता वो, because you have to
influencer बनना है तो कितने
और कितने pages बनाओगे. So you need to, I think communication is very important.
Vocalize to the right people.
And right people, and you need guidance. Like there should be a platform, I would say, for women.
So
especially.
advertising, I mean, at the global level, there's Gans does this. It's called See It, Be It. And there was a chapter here, and Atya Zaidi, she was one of the. And now we have a group. Shiro's group, and we communicate. We don't meet as much as we should, but the point is, to actually support each other. So and it's beautiful because there's this community of women from the same industry, and they're cheering each other on, literally. And there's a whole sense of that, all that competition, and I think women in that sense are much better for championing as champions of each other.
I was just going to say that you were mentioning your team, but I think even that is so significant because we don't realize how significant it can be for women to see other women in leadership roles. And so my daughter is 1 year and 4 months, and I take her to work. My law firm is very progressive, and we have a daycare in the office. And I think it's a great thing for people to see my daughter in my room, in my office, me reading with her, taking out time from my day and spending time with her, and for people to see that this is possible to do.
You're a role model, right? For a lot of the young women.
Get there, you just have to keep at it, and consistency and grit. And yes, even if you want to take a break, that's an option as well. But we should make ourselves more visible to people in these positions.
Absolutely, and how you just said, not only mentoring these women, these young girls, but also I think more of the laws that exist. I feel that we need to, say it. Probably, we have to train them that how can you overcome the harassment, what you should do, because those are the things that even despite the fact that we have those harassment laws, these women do not know. These young girls don't know how to, operate.
They don't even know that law exists.
And how to operate in that. The other thing that I was thinking was the balancing act that is always, like always expected out of all of the women who are probably professional. I mean, I would say that we all are privileged to have good partners, and we've never been asked to, balance that act. At least I'm sure that none of you have been asked to balance the act. Only if you would like to balance.
But there's always two jobs, right? There is still
You're juggling.
that home responsibility, and yes, having a active partner as somebody who's active in the home, and an active parent, which is the most important thing if you're parents of children. But there's always that mental work which we're doing. अच्छा मासी टाइम पे नहीं आई, मैं लेट हो रही हूँ, मासी आए तो मैं घर बंद करूँ, तो फिर मैं जाऊँ, तो फिर अच्छा खाने क्या बनाना है, what instructions do I need to give? So we're always calculating.
No, what about the guilt we carry?
The guilt,
right?
yes.
The guilt is enormous. And I mean, I remember again when I had my first daughter, Meera, and the thing was that I had to be the first person at the sports day. Jharu lag raha hota tha, so we get the front line so you can cheer on, do all the school duties, pick, drop, and juggle the career and look at it. Because there was, I think your own expectations put a lot of guilt on you. And you feel guilty if you aren't achieving that. And I think you have to prioritize. You can't do everything, right? You can't be everywhere.
You have to time management.
Yeah, you have to prioritize.
For me, leaving career behind and then coming back to it, so my son stays with my mother when I'm at work. So I would constantly FaceTime him. जब नया काम start किया, because I didn't know that he is with someone else. My mother was someone else for me. So I would keep FaceTiming him all day. Lunch कर लिया, ये कर लिया, वो कर लिया. Oh, did you go to the loo? Oh, is he?
And your husband was not doing that.
Yeah, of course not. So one day my mother had to sit me down, and she's been a single parent, and she sit me down. She said, "I raised 3 of you, so
single-handedly.
You need to trust me. Your child is with me, and I'm good enough to do that. I'm physically active enough to do that, and wherever I require help, I take that." So stop disturbing yourself, stop disturbing him. Rather than doing that, just text me. Text him. He's good enough to respond on iMessages himself. So don't do that. Don't disturb him. You're constantly calling 8 times a day to check on him whether every situation is perfect or not. Even if it's not, it's bound to happen. Even when you're there, things happen. All the accidents take place even when you're around. So you need to trust the person you're leaving your child with as well.
That's important what you said. Everything doesn't have to be perfect.
Everything doesn't.
And I don't think we can.
And so major,
that's a lot of pressure on us.
Right? Our social lives have to be on top. Our house has to be spaghetti.
Yeah,
you have to look put together. You have to, obviously your work is a priority. You have to prepare for, even a 5-minute phone call. But we put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
But we talk about gender roles all the time, so उसका भी उतना ही
no, definitely.
But with small, I can give you an example. I had to travel, and it was my daughter's first concert, right? Probably she was 5, and I wasn't going to be there. And I was like, what do I do? My world was falling apart, when I had to travel for work, I had to go to some. And then I just talked to the principal of the school, and they said, there's going to be a dress rehearsal. You come there, you sit with me on the front seat the day before, and you go straight from the... So, you have to ask. You have to, make your ask, and things will fall into place. हो जाता है, हो ही जाएगा, सब बड़े ही हो जाएंगे.
Definitely.
So then why in society is my question to all of you. Good, yes, we take a lot on ourselves, and we want exactly what you said. My house has to be spick and span. The food has to be ready. I have to be good at work also. I have to take care of my parents if they are old, and my children.
That's important.
That's another. Yeah.
Why is this role by default in us, or is it because our counterparts or male in the society, they expect us to have this kind of role? I was just thinking, this is my question to you, that we have to manage everything, the balancing act, the house, the maid, the food, the children, the aging parents. So is it something expected in this patriarchal society that we exist from us? Should you not think that, no, I don't mind doing it. I want to do a lot of things myself. But why is it that, the male members in the family, they do not sort of think or even take the responsibility? So is it ingrained in us?
Well, I firstly think that men don't get enough credit in our society. We don't openly acknowledge as much what everyone is doing, and they deserve a lot of credit. And they keep their emotions in, and they feel like the sense of that we're not being acknowledged. And that's why women are not being acknowledged, because we don't have a culture of voicing. But it is maybe in our nature as women that we want to be nurturing and we want to take care of everybody, and the societal expectations.
I think-
both things. Yeah.
I think it's the expectations more than I think the nature. I think there's a
Yeah.
huge weight of expectations that we carry on our shoulders. Really.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
We carry that weight knowingly or unknowingly.
I feel responsibilities could be shared. My husband, touch wood, he's very supportive, and all our responsibilities are shared at house, be it my parents, his parents. It's shared between both of us equally. And khana ho gaya, masi ho gayi, everything. When I have a meeting, he knows I have to leave. So he's very understanding that way. So he touch wood, yes. So he does. He does the same thing. He does the same job. It's not that oh masi aayi, so I am responsible to open darwaza. No, he will too. And it's inbuilt in him as well. So thanks to my mother-in-law. So
Yeah, so that's I think
that's the upbringing that he has,
Women
right?
play a huge role in
Yes.
what's going to happen in our next generation.
Yeah, for sure. I think.
But see, again, we're talking about women and upbringing. It's very important on women to do achhi upbringing to the kid.
Yeah.
So it's again, we are also saying the same
But
thing.
that
yeah.
generation it was,
Yes.
right? I think this generation, it's a more
Yes,
shared
I
or
agree.
equal.
It's
or
all
maybe
about
not so
gender roles at
equal,
home.
But yeah.
a little more.
We're getting there, I feel. By the time Gen Zs aayenge, we're still all millennials and Gen X, but abhi Gen Zs jo aayenge, wo to... Have you guys encountered with any of the Gen Zs?
Yes, I'm working for me also.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, young women. who are
Listen,
like-
wow.
Yeah.
There's such examples. Galat era mein paida ho gaye.
I have two daughters who are Gen Z.
Oh, Gen
also, so
Z,
yeah,
nice.
tell me about it.
No. I think Gen Zs
being
are...
clear about your
Yeah, they're
requirements
very
very clear.
upfront and वो नहीं हमें नहीं करना काम नहीं हम नहीं करेंगे 5 बजे के बाद काम क्लाइंट करे हम नहीं करेंगे हम नहीं जवाब देंगे we're not
in the
available.
law firm too long. I think it depends on the.
Yeah, I know, of course. They need to learn, of course, but something is that they will not suppress themselves. Like if you're not available, for example, in our industry, Seema would understand that you have to be available.
24/7.
आपका campaign 24/7 चल रहा है, आपका account 24/7 चल रहा है. Be it weekends. Now it's inbuilt in me कि अच्छा I have to be available, and it's not a boj on me. Like it's not a burden on me that I need.
Second skin.
Yeah, like now it's in me that अच्छा ठीक है हाँ सही है. It's so casually from Gen Z is working for me. I'll be like वो 6 बजे एक press release निकाली होगी या 3 बजे press release paper down है 5 बजे आप कर देना. 5:30. I was here at 10. It's 5:30. I'm like,
I think that's a generational.
Yeah,
thing.
it's a generational. Yeah. It's a big issue. Yeah.
and even on weekends, they're like, we're not available. We have our commitments.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
But I think we need to learn something from them, and they
Yeah,
need
of
to
course,
learn something
of
from
course.
us. It's
Yeah.
a two-way
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
But I think we all talked about how we need to keep asking for, we need to ask for daycare, we need to ask for maternity,
Yeah.
we need to ask for mentorship. But it's all about helping women find their own voice. So how do you
Yes.
think we can do that? How should women work towards finding their own voice in a professional setting?
So I think first of all, saying it, articulating it, asking for it, and things do change, things do shift.
Definitely.
And I think as more and more women are entering the workplace, whether it's at my agency or your law firm and everything, and when they come together and ask for something, I think, and they need to find mentors. I think we all have to step up,
Yes.
especially the senior kind of, in senior roles, and we have to step up and say, hey, I'm out there, you can reach out to me. And I do a
Keep
lot
that
of
comfort
mentoring.
zone,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think that's very important. And I see a lot of women in my industry doing that. I don't know, in other industries, but I think it's critical because otherwise, women have too much baggage to deal with.
Exactly.
One has to step
I think to ask for it as well as, forcefully ask for it.
Yeah.
You have to make it
Demand, not
You can't
ask,
give
demand.
please. You have, and you should be very confident about it. This is what I want, this is what I
Yeah.
want. And that's how and of course mentoring,
Yeah.
that also will really, really help. And celebrating ourselves.
Of
So
course.
every time, we need to talk about ourselves. We need to talk about, even at our workplace, even at home, in our families, we need to, because maybe for others, it will be an inspiration that I can do this. how you said that now you speak to your mothers and your mother speaks to
other people
to
and
other
support.
people.
Yeah.
And support. I remember very clearly that there was one person from our family, extended family, who said that she wants to be a news anchor, reading the news, and I'm very worried because of what's going on.
Yes.
And I said, no, it's very clean, it's very good business, and that's very good. She's so educated.
Yeah.
You must do it.
And talking about it, basically creating community.
You know, a lot of taboos about the industry saying, oh, model, she's a model. And now you see people like Mush, she's an IB grad.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see
Which
people
is
like Nila
fantastic.
Jacob,
So many girls,
which is
yeah.
educated
Fantastic.
women.
Yeah.
You see different kind of women in modeling and Pariliki
Acting,
models
yeah.
and even
Doctors,
acting. You see
engineers,
Dure
that's-
Fisher,
it's
she's
like this.
educated. Like, you know,
gladdens
you,
my heart, yeah.
you feel so happy.
Yeah.
And when you talk to them, they know how to stand up for their rights. They know उनको क्या करना है, कहाँ पर shut up call
They
देनी
call
है.
out harassment
Yes.
if it happens.
Or every time, and जो उनको गलत लगता है वहीं पर ही like literally they upside down कर देते हैं पूरे set को.
Setting an example
It's
to
very
people around you.
important. Yes, it's very important, and I honestly feel so proud. So if anybody comes to me and they be like, "Oh, my daughter wants to become a model," I would say, "Please बनाओ," because now it's. I mean, वो जो taboo था कि ओ ऐसा होता है वैसा होता है, ऐसा नहीं होता है. When you're in it, आपको पता चलता है one on one जाके कि नहीं यार, it's not. There are educated women who are standing up for their rights, and it's very important.
So I hope how we're celebrating, what we do and how we've, sort of carved our ways, our paths to become who we are, and we continue to do that, and for others also. I hope all of you watching us will also celebrate. Even if you're a homemaker, I'm sure you must have done so much in order to make yourself who you are at home, because it's a huge task to just be a homemaker.
It's
I think it's
very
the most
difficult.
difficult
It's the
task.
most
It's the
difficult.
most
I
difficult
agree.
job. Yeah.
I have a friend who has 2 kids, and वो बेचारी, and I feel I'm like, Allah, what is
How
this?
should you
Like
do
it?
even
Labor of
mom,
women.
even our moms for that matter. My mom's she was at home only, but उतना काम होता था that she would be on the go constantly. सुबह से लेके शाम तक, I would see her रात तक on the go. So I think they're
there's
doing
no
a fab
9 to
job.
5 for a homemaker.
Yeah, I agree. They're 24 hours. I think they're doing a fab
It's the hardest
job.
job.
Yes, the hardest job.
So happy Women's Day to all of
Happy
you.
Happy
Women's
Women's
Day.
Day.